What if your soul didn't begin on earth? What if the patterns in your life, the déjà vu moments, and the questions you can't shake come from somewhere far beyond this lifetime? On this episode of Truth Be Told, we're joined by Caroline Cory, consciousness researcher, filmmaker, and creator of the documentary Superhuman, and soon to be Superhuman 2. Caroline explores the possibilities of off-planet past lives, parallel realities, and soul contracts made before birth. We dive into cosmic memory, why some people awaken to these experiences, and whether humanity is entering a powerful shift in consciousness. This conversation may change the way you see your life and your place in the universe. I'm Tony Sweet with Truth Be Told. Please welcome back to the Truth Be Told studios, the amazing Caroline Cory. Oh, you know, they always say I was the pretty one, but not until Caroline Cory gets in the room. Hey, how are you?
Too funny. I love it. I'm great. How are you, Tony?
I'm doing wonderful. It's even though we haven't talked for a while, it's been a couple years actually. I watch what you do, and I have to say you're one of the most creative people out there, because a lot of people, you know, their research is stuff they've studied years ago, which is great. We love to talk about it, but you're always coming with new, innovative and new ideas to bring to the table. So I appreciate you for doing that.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Look, I have so many ideas. I'm constantly like, oh, I got to do this app. Oh, I got to write this book. Oh, I have all this information also that comes to me. And so, yeah. So now, for example, I'm doing Superhuman 2.
Crazy. And I can't wait to see it, because Superhuman was off the chain.
This is insane. It's epic. Seriously. Like, I mean, of course it's my work, but
I know it's your baby. It's your baby.
No, but seriously, the material is incredible. It's like just like the way we understand science at a whole different level. Mm-hmm. You know, how we understand consciousness in a new way. Mm-hmm. Some, you know, mind-blowing experiments that I can't wait to show. So I'm very excited about that. So right now, that's my major creation.
So we don't know yet when that's going to be released.
I'm thinking end of April or May. Yeah.
It's coming. It's coming.
Very soon. Be ready.
Before that, you're going to be at, of course, the 2026 Conscious Life Expo at the LAX Hilton, which we all love to go to. It's a great, if you have never been, this is one of those opportunities to go and just be around like-minded people. You know, 10, 15,000 people that go through the door in this weekend from February 20th through 23rd. But Caroline's going to be talking about exploring off-planet past lives. And I want to ask you, because I don't want to give everything away, but we're going to touch on that today. What does that mean, off-planet past lives? Is that because most of the time when we hear like, oh, a child remembers when he was flying in World War II, but what does it mean, off-planet past lives?
Well, you know, a lot of people, especially those coming to this conference and beyond, have a sense that they come from a different extraterrestrial lineage, mm-hmm. or they've encountered extraterrestrials, or that they may have had lives on other planets. Wow. They remember things. And I've done so many regressions, you know, for the last several years, and sometimes, like, because it's a big group, right? So we don't know who, you know, everybody has a different lineage or different mm-hmm. background. So I guide them through this exercise, and I just say, you know, imagine that you are landing on your planet of origin. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, they see stuff. So it's a little bit like a hypnotic, but just like you're still awake. It's a meditation. And then when we come back, everybody can literally describe, like, you know, a planet, what it looked like, what it felt like. And so I know it's something deep within a lot of people that they know they have at least visited other planet. And so I wanted to talk about that, at the conference, which, like you, I think this conference rocks. I mean, it's just so fun. It's
Yeah.
just fun, you know?
Yeah.
And there's so many amazing people. I'll also do experiential as always in my talk. And I want to explain like how we land on Earth, like it's how we incarnate and why we choose Earth and where we come from and how we are still in communication with our past and parallel lives.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That's pretty amazing. And we hear this a lot, oh, déjà vu. Oh, that seems familiar. Can you talk a little bit about déjà vu, where it bleeds through these parallel timelines or planetary or other planetary incarnations? There we go. I was going to say the drink. Can you explain that a little bit about déjà vu, not just through past life regressions, but something that we see here on this planet in our everyday life?
Yeah. So before coming, we have a sort of agreement. You make an agreement with yourself. Okay. So I call it the prenatal agreement. So it's like, okay, I'm going to go in and this planet down there needs a little bit of help. I'm going to go down and assist by teaching, by healing, or doing whatever. Mm-hmm. So you have this agreement, but you also have agreement with other people. And so what some people refer to it as soul family, but it's a spirit family and more than that. So anyway, so you already kind of have a plan, a major plan. And so when you're here and then part of this plan happens, you have that moment where, wait, I remember that I said I was going to do this. And here's the person. I recognize this moment. This is a déjà vu. Déjà vu in French means already seen.
Oh, okay.
Déjà vu. Vu is seen. And so you've already seen this because you knew that was going to happen when you made the contract.
I love that.
Isn't that cool?
That is really cool because I never thought of it that way before. And I remember years ago, and I think it was 98 maybe, I spoke with Sylvia Brown, the psychic.
Yeah, at the time, yeah.
And she had told me many times I've been, on this planet, but we never talked about anything off planet. Is it easier to connect with the past lives here versus off planet? Because it seems like more people I hear about on this planet. Is it harder to access off planet past lives?
It's the same thing.
Really?
Once you access beyond this 3D reality, you can access anything. The question becomes why? Why do you access easily a specific past life versus another past life?
Yeah.
That's because that particular past life is relevant to what you're doing. We have these experiences to remember what we have come to do, why we're here, what is our life's purpose. So you do a past life regression and it takes you specifically to one. You do another past life regression, 3 months later, it's going to take you to another one or maybe the same one, depending, you see what I mean? So that's why the process is exactly the same. Once you expand your consciousness to tap into beyond this 3D reality, there is no time space. Consciousness is non-local. So you can access any part of the universe at any moment in time.
Is it possible to have a better relationship with one of your past lives more than others? Almost like you're your own best friend, where you seem to go back to one past life more than the other.
Yeah, exactly. Because that past life is the most relevant to what you're doing now. So it's like, remember, you didn't finish that part, that piece over there. So let's make sure, this gets done here. So you get into these patterns that remind you specifically of that life until you resolve or you come to terms to, with whatever the issue is.
How did you access that yourself? And why did you want to?
For me, it's very strange. Everything came so spontaneously. I think we talked about this on so many shows you and I have done already.
Yeah.
But, like since I was a child, I would just things just happen. I would have a spontaneous connection with beings, and I would see myself like part of this lineage, and I would see the planets and stuff, and I could see myself there. So it's like I didn't really say, hey, I want to, you know what I mean? Things would happen. And I realized exactly what I just said. Things would happen at the time where I needed them to happen. You know what I mean? I had to know that piece to whatever move forward in at that particular time. So that's kind of how it, evolved for me.
Did you ever, within your family, did anybody else feel the same way as you? Or because you know how psychics, a lot of times it's like a passed down trait of being psychics or coming from psychics. My grandmother, my great grandmother. Was anybody else in your family having access like that? I
had an aunt who was into like astrology and aura and things like that.
Yeah.
That's about it. It was not, I think she was intuitive, but I don't think like she actually did anything with it. It was just this curiosity. But I remember seeing her always reading stuff about astrology and like, and telling me things like that. So that was it. Otherwise, I think that's about it, really. That I may have taken that curiosity, at least, or openness from her.
I think you're quite a bit younger than I am. But I think back, especially back in the day, we didn't talk about all of this as much as we do now. So maybe people were or did have access to that, but they just kept it to themselves. So with all the TV shows and things, are people more open to, I think back then they're like, don't, because they're going to think I'm crazy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, even now a little bit, especially in Europe. Europe is still, I just spent some time in Europe. They're so closed still.
Really?
It's unbelievable. Of course, in this community, but it's not, they're not as open as in the United States. So we're very lucky that in the U.S. it's a lot more acceptable,
Yeah.
When you talk
even
about
South America.
Telepathy.
Because my spouse is from Brazil, and so
Brazil, they're open.
They're open, but there's still a lot of the religion still keeps them from being even more open than they could be.
The stigma.
When you go in,
they'll catch on.
Oh no, they all do. We all have to evolve or we get left behind. So it's I think that's where we're at, just as humanity itself. When people recall past lives, how do we distinguish between imagination from authentic space-time memory? That's
a great question. And that's the training. When I started having these experiences, the first thing I said, maybe I made it up. Like, how do I know? Like, how do I know that I didn't make it up? Like, sometimes I would meet someone and I would see like stuff about them. And I'd be like, I'm not going to say anything because what if I'm wrong? So that was one of the first things that I started working on. I was like, I better make sure. And of course, I would verify my information. So I would ask the person, or I would train myself as well to be in a certain meditative state, and then to try things like, I want to try to see what's on the other side of this wall or whatever, or what the neighbor is, whatever, what they're put outside in their yard, or whatever, and then I would go and verify. So there is a way now. I mean, I came up with, a method to become as discerning as possible. There's always, you leak a little bit of mind chatter, but you can get pretty good at it. Well, so I have this methodology that I teach to become very clear. So you bypass your own human mind, your own interpretation, projections, to try to get that information as accurately and as objectively as possible.
I love that. Because even with your movie Superhuman, and I think a lot of us as humanity, there are some people that seem to have easier access to, like, the psychic abilities. I mean, everybody says, oh, we all have it. We all have that ability. But why do some people seem to have easier access than others? Is that more of a cultural thing, religious thing that keeps us from having access to that?
No, not at all. It's more of a personal contract. I go back to the prenatal contract.
Oh, okay.
I think you come in with the similar potential. Like, everybody has the same potential, but if in your contract you're here to teach about consciousness, and you're here to explain the workings of the mind or the mechanics of, what I mean? So you're going to come in at least with those abilities that you're going to, practice and train with,
right,
and like maybe fail at, and like try to figure out, what I mean? It's going to be a focus for you,
right,
more than other people. That's it. But anybody has that potential, because you're made as a human in the same way. Of course, not everybody's exactly totally human, but that's a different conversation.
That's a whole different
yeah. But just as a human being, you have you are always, whether you like it or not, you agree with it or not, it's been validated even scientifically that you are entangled with space-time and with everything. And so I was just talking just now with one of the physicists who's in the movie, the second movie, the third movie, Superhuman 2. And we were just talking about proton entanglements.
Oh, wow.
We don't talk about that. We know that entanglement happens, like two stars could communicate with each other at a distance. We know that entanglement has been proven. But we're talking about protons, not within your own body, but between two people. So if you were sitting in this room, our protons would be entangled.
Right.
So, and at a distance, our atoms would be entangled. So when we talk about telepathy, and so what I'm saying is now there is science behind the fact that you are made with the same stuff, protons and atoms and molecules, and like everybody else, which have those physical physics property to be entangled with everything. It's just a matter of training, knowing that how it works, and just doing the training.
I feel like it's like these prodigal children that somehow they just know how to play either a piano or, can read a book that's more college, or genius level, where some of us, like myself, but go spot run, or whatever. I feel like that is kind of the superhuman, meaning they come here with the either open mind or a portal that's been opened that kept the knowledge from their past, versus some of us that come out just like babies, learn from how to take one step after the other and, use the toilet, all that.
Yeah.
'Cause I remember us talking about remote viewing especially with children and people. Is that kind of what you're talking about with when you say telepathy, remote viewing, how some people are easier to connect that way?
Yeah, exactly. Again, it goes back to even these children who come in I mean, you can look on the internet. There's kids who are 3 years old playing the piano like
Oh, yeah.
Mozart. It's like, what's going on here? It's like,
Mm-hmm.
I learned the piano and it was like, it took me a long time to get to do this one piece. So there's definitely, again, I think it's the same thing. I feel they are bringing that information from previous experiences, going back to past life. That channel is still open for them to perform a task in this
Wow.
life. Yeah.
Wow. Is that kind of like karmic? Because how does karmic release function when the origin of karma may not be earth-based at all?
So for me, karma is not like a punishment, like you were
Yeah, I
bad
don't feel
in
that
another
either.
life and now you have to for me, karma is simply what you didn't finish, let's say, what you still wanted to accomplish that you bring back with you to finish. That's why it feels like it's an old thing because it is.
Yeah.
It's part of a contract that you didn't complete for whatever reason. And so you're going to bring back the ability to finish that karma, whatever, that story, and master it. So that's why every person is here for a very specific reason. You come in with specific tools, certain channels open, others not so open on purpose. You know what I mean? And then that's how you create your earthly journey based on that prenatal contract, technically, and then to try to master it.
Is that why people, because it seems like we're having a worldwide mental health crisis when it comes to why am I here? Why am I put on this earth? What is my purpose? We have said this. Is that kind of how so much distraction from medications to social media to everything that's kind of keeping us from really looking within to find that purpose? Is it kind of that the reason why we're having such a mental health crisis?
I think it's part of the journey.
Oh, really?
To have, do you know anybody who wasn't depressed?
No.
Ever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anybody who didn't experience anxiety. I'm talking even extreme cases or a
Yeah.
panic attack once in a while or something.
Yeah.
So I think it's part of the journey and the path. And these types of experiences make you think, why am I here? Why? Otherwise, you probably wouldn't be asking the question, everything is hunky-dory,
Right.
like, hey, like I have money, I have a house, I have a spouse, I have kids. Everything is amazing all the time. Then would you ever ask the question, like, why am I here? What am I doing? What should I be doing? You know what I mean? So unfortunately, that's kind of how the human is programmed. I don't think it's necessary, but I think that's the human programming, that we get to explore and experience these moments and think we are stuck for a reason, to figure out how to unstuck ourselves and get back on the path. So it's all part of the mastery.
Do you think tapping into the otherworldly past lives that we can actually relate to in this world?
Yeah, that's the purpose of tapping into past lives. So you tap into past lives to get answers about things in this life. So for example, let's say this is how we can actually do it in the class. We talk about a problem that you have right now. The main problem. I'm sure you have more than one.
I'm perfect. Everything's perfect in my life.
Everything's perfect. Hunky-dory. But let's say somebody's struggling with money. No matter what they do, it's scarcity. They can't attract a good job, or the money just goes. Whatever. Let's say that's their big thing. So we do a past life regression, And it's possible. I'm not saying that's exactly what happened because everybody's different. It's possible that in another life, they were very rich. And the way they used the money was totally selfish and maybe destructive. Like, who knows? I'm just saying as an example. So that way, first of all, you get to, when you do a past life, like you get to feel, like you get to relive. So you have that experience. It gives you the impression that I know what it's like to be super rich, you know, whatever. And then by having this experience and coming back, it sheds light on why. Does that make sense?
Oh, totally.
Why
yeah.
you're stuck in this lifetime. Yeah, because you're messed up, you know, but not as a punishment, but
Right.
more as understanding the energy of money, how you manage money, how you attract abundance, and so on and so forth. I mean, as an example. Or about relationships.
Yeah.
That's a big one. Like,
Yeah.
why do I keep attracting the guy who's blah, blah, blah? You know what I mean? Like, what's wrong with me? Boo-hoo. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, and of course you go back and then you see you were in a relationship, maybe that you were abused, or who knows, you know, it
Right.
depends. So that's why it's very, very useful.
Do you think this time in history is critical? And because it seems like some of the individuals like yourself are tapping more into the otherworldly past lives because Earth is kind of reaching this critical evolutionary shift in consciousness. Do you feel like that's opening up more now than ever?
Well, I think you have to understand, going back to the entanglement question, we are also entangled with everybody else. We're part of a collective. So as you expand your own consciousness, you are triggering like this butterfly effect, so to speak, where whether you're aware of it or not, the more you expand, the more you are embedding in the fabric of space-time that ability to expand.
Yeah.
So other people start to feel like, oh, you know, I feel like I need to expand, and so on and so forth. So that's why your individual work is so important. So as you do that and others do that, you know, it becomes easier because more people are doing that, you see. So that's why I feel, especially as we were saying in the United States, like we've been talking about new age stuff, what, in 80s or something, or 70s, you know, I'm sure some people before that, but I'm talking like that whole rush of information, like, hey, we're spiritual beings having a human experience, and you know, like that, all these concepts are like raise your vibration. You know, now that you think of it, these concepts, they seem old, right? It's like, it's like, what? Okay, we got that, you know? So that's how we've been evolving, you know, humanity's consciousness, like one person at a time, you know? And so, I totally feel like now there's a lot more momentum, and that's why it's easier and easier.
Yeah, I work with some psychics, and they had said, you know, that the fifth dimension is really kicking into gear, and that kind of popped into my head. I'm thinking, well, wonder if that's one reason many people are tapping into their otherworldly. And I'm curious, you said you've been working with this for a while. If you don't mind me asking, what are some of the worlds that you tapped into? Do they have names, or did they reveal themselves? If you don't mind sharing that.
Well, actually, it took me a long time, but it's in my book, the one that's called it's called The Divine Plan. It's more kind of not just worlds, but like different universes. It's pretty much the universal organization.
Got it.
Like how our planetary system is part of a galactic cluster, and that galactic cluster is part of a larger universe, and how this universe is part of a cluster of universes, and so on and so forth. So I opened up to this whole thing, which was pretty magnificent, I have to say. And that helped me kind of put in perspective not just my own journey, like kind of where I fit within the universal plan, but
Right.
how everything fits, like when we talk about people seeing ETs, like, grays or whatever, like I can see kind of why and where they kind of belong, versus other beings that I've encountered, that are like, oh no, these are from that other universe. And, and it's not just like the geography of the universe,
Right.
but it's an understanding of a organization, of a structure of consciousness. You see, it's hard to describe. It's like it's kind of a very elaborate plan, and where humanity fits within this plan, and why. And so it starts to kind of open you up to all sorts of understanding, like that's why I chose to come to Earth and blah, 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 because Earth is fitting in this sort of, structure and how it affects other planets, other beings. And you see what I mean? So it's
Yeah,
kind of,
for sure.
that's kind of how, for me, it opened up. It's not like, when I hear people talking about opening to the fifth dimension and the sixth, it's not like that. And it doesn't make sense to me, this kind of dimensional thing.
Right. I remember not too long ago, I was thinking, that now there's 8 billion souls on this planet. And I was like, if everybody was a past life, well, let's say 300 years ago, and there was like maybe 1 billion people. I was like, how is there 8 billion souls that came from past lives? I said, there has to be an explanation of where all these souls came from, because apparently it wasn't from Earth. So it kind of makes sense now that while there's so many souls and we keep growing, so it's like, okay, I think these are off-planet past lives souls that are coming in and having an experience here. And I'm hoping that we can learn to live amongst each other and, not completely destroy each other. I just had last week on the show Jason Martell talking about the Anunnaki.
Love him.
I love him. Yeah. And we talked about the Anunnaki. And have you ever met anyone that was part of the Anunnakis versus just another, extraterrestrial being? Because I find that fascinating.
Anyone in 3D, you mean?
Yeah.
No, it's not like that. It's, if they're part of their lineage, it would be like an offspring of an offspring of an offspring
okay.
type of thing. Yeah.
Wow.
'Cause the Anunnakis are like a very ancient.
Yeah.
And then they managed Earth at a specific point in time for a short time. And then other beings also started to come in. So not everybody comes from the same lineage. So,
Because
yeah.
I'm sure there's billions, probably trillions of different planets and everything out there that... well, one thing we talked about is resolving. And can we unresolve emotions? Or can these unresolved emotions be echoes from experiences that originated far beyond this lifetime, or even beyond Earth itself?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. So when you're struggling with something,
Yeah.
we give the example of the person struggling with abundance, So these are all unresolved emotions and belief systems, like the person is stuck, right? So that's why they're stuck, because they can't find the reason in their subconscious, at least in this lifetime, as to what the root cause is. That's why, it gets really resolved when we go to a past life or a parallel life.
Right.
And so then you see another aspect of you experiencing something else. And that is when you are able to resolve your current unresolved emotions and belief systems.
How do you have to ask a lot of questions to the past life or even to yourself once you tap into that so you can resolve that? Because what questions do you ask?
Well, so before you begin, you have the intention.
So going in with intention.
Yeah, which is the main question. So like, okay, I'm stuck in my relationship. Why do I keep attracting blah, blah,
Got
blah?
it.
I want to give me the root cause or any information about why I am stuck in this issue. So then you go in and then all kinds of stuff starts to come in. So sometimes you have to ask again, like more specificity.
Yeah, right.
Like let's say you see yourself married and the guy, I don't know, whatever, like, so sometimes like you're not clear on the information, you can ask more detail, but usually that's how it works. So you already have asked the question and your higher self is going to give you all the details. It's fascinating. You should try it. Come to the class.
I know I want to. I really would love to tap into, because I've had one past life regression. I always say I have ADD, but I didn't think I would be able to tap into anything, but I did. And I got into one. I tapped into one, but like I said, Sylvia Brown said, I've been here many times. So I would like to see if there's any off-world.
Right.
Do you think there's anybody on this planet that has no off-world, or do you think everybody?
I doubt it. No, I mean there is some. It's a small minority.
Yeah, it's kind of like the newbies.
Yeah, the newbies. But usually you have an off-planet, a planet something. But also, we are not talking about past lives or also parallel lives, meaning.
Yeah.
Once that's another thing people like don't realize that aspect of you is still happening.
Yeah.
In other words, that's why you're tapping into something. The information is there, so it's happening simultaneously. So that's why you have past lives that are parallel lives.
That's like
and then you have parallel. Yeah, and then you have parallel lives. Like also these are special cases on Earth at the same time. That's a different type of parallel life.
It reminds me of, I don't know if you're a Marvel fan, and we've talked about this when Spider-Man, that latest Spider-Man, where all three Spider-Man show up from different parallel lives, and everyone are similar, but they have their own special abilities. And I found that fascinating when you said that. I was like, it kind of just popped into my head because it reminds me of that. We're living at the same time, but it's just, a slightly different version of who we are
Exactly.
Wow.
So that's why you learn a lot. It's just fascinating.
What did you learn from your...
Oh my God, which one?
Right?
Yeah, for me, it's not so much earthly past lives, but more other realities that I was part of. So.
Was there any shock that you tapped into that, or just more like, oh, that makes sense?
I have to say, when you have an experience of yourself, like your original self kind of a thing, it is quite mind-boggling because it's not just the past life. It's like your whole essence. It's pretty amazing. So it's hard to describe. Like it's something that you will feel,
It reminds me of when we've heard about people that have had near-death experiences and they go before a council or they review their whole life, before they move on to the next stage. It kind of reminds me of that. You're just reviewing what you did right, what you did wrong, what you could have done better. Fascinating. Is this what we're going to expect in the class, the workshop at Conscious Life Expo? Or
Yeah, it's to understand a little bit more of the mechanics of that, how it works.
Love it.
And why it works, because I want to talk about the planetary grid and how it's literally the fabric of space-time and, and stuff like that. And then, then I'll do a regression because, I like people to experience what I'm saying as opposed to just me, just talking, So
I love it. And how does that work when you have a room full of people? Has anybody ever had a negative reaction?
Yeah, sometimes people would get stuck. So for example, once we get, sometimes just before you're about to experience a past life, maybe they see a lot of light, or they feel lost, or they're in the dark, and then they kind of lose it. You know what I mean? And they lose the connection, and they go to their head, what's happening? And I don't know what's going on. And then they, instead of breathing through it and just you know what I mean? So once in a while, some people will have that, but I'm talking one person out of 100. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Usually, especially if you set your intention correctly, there's no reason to experience anything negative, because nothing is really negative. If you're seeing something, it's probably part of the answer. Maybe you're asking about, I don't know, again, a relationship or something, and then you have that experience of being lost in the dark, and you're panicking. But maybe that's part of the answer, is that in another life, when you were in relationships, you would feel lost and you don't belong or something. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But the human mind kicks in, and the fear kicks in, and then you lose that connection. So they come back and say, well, I had a negative experience, but so it's just an interpretation.
Well, if you do take the class, which I hope people go and get their tickets, because I guarantee it's going to be a sellout. It's going to be Sunday, February 22nd, 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. in La Jolla Room. You're going to be in a safe place. Caroline's going to be one of those people that you can trust and believe that she's going to walk you through it. And I think that would be something I'm going to try, because I think it's time for me to have a little vacation to another world with my friend over here, Miss Cory.
Love it. Hey, I want to say something real quick also. In the new movie, we did an experiment, a past life experiment.
Ooh.
And what I wanted, I know. So what I wanted to do is see what part of the brain is responsible for memory, because we were working with the memory person at the time. And so anyway, long story short, of course, we did it with baselines and everything else. And then the person was remembering things in this lifetime. So the brain, the hypothalamus is, doing its thing, whatever. And then we regressed the person to another lifetime, 300 years ago or something like that. And then when he came back, we looked at his brain pattern, and it was the exact same thing. Remembering something from this lifetime or another lifetime. When he was telling crazy stories that weren't true, the brain was doing it. But it was this exact same thing when he was remembering something in this lifetime that he knew of, and the past life. What do you make of that?
That is amazing. Wow. I'm jealous of your life. I want to do all that research. That would be so much fun, just to be a part of exploring, not only your own, but other people's journeys. I think that would be just amazing. So
it's so cool. That's my job. I love it. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Well, where can people find and follow you?
CarolineCory.com has all the classes and the sessions and everything else. And I'm everywhere on social media, like Caroline Cory Official, Instagram and Facebook. And, we post about the conference and what I'm going to be talking about and other things coming up on my social media, so people can just follow me there.
And if you don't get to see her at Conscious Life Expo, which you should go, Caroline is going to be many other places. She is very popular, as they say, at these conferences. So, but I appreciate you as always, and it's so great to catch up with you. And I hope to see you in just a few weeks.
Thanks so much, Tony. This was awesome.
Thank you. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Make sure you tune in every Friday on Conscious Life, the Club Paranormal Network YouTube channel. Please subscribe and like and share the show. Until next time, take care of yourself and each other.